Welcome to another exciting edition of Thunderdome. Excuse me. Hang on.
Okay, hi. Your old pal King Waspin here. Welcome back to Total Party Skills. As those of you who might have noticed some of my content on Twitter as I have triumphantly returned, I've kind of been leaning into a bit of a Mad Max thing. There is a method to the madness. Back when the whole pandemic thing started with the lockdowns, I kind of leaned real heavily into kind of like, the whole Mad Max, Beyond Thunderdome. This is the post-apocalypse kind of thing with my old YouTube channel. And now that Elon had bought Twitter, and because of a few other things that have just been kind of going on lately, I kind of feel like we're at the bookend of this period, and so kind of like one last hurrah with the meme. I find that enough people of the right generation are into Mad Max and remember Thunderdome at least as children. It's a little cheesy as an adult, although I think there's more stuff there that's actually kind of deeper, and it kind of could speak to a little bit of like an attempt at, theoretical future apocalyptic anthropology in terms of how societies redevelop and all that kind of stuff. As an analogy for things, this happening to Twitter is a big deal to society. I said in a previous video, it's like a 10-year-long, 12-year-long hostage situation is finally over. And it's going to take some time for people to really kind of wake up to that fact that, you don't have to worry about Twitter calling you things anymore, because Twitter's going to be a multi-factional platform. And advertisers and all that are going to be able to kind of get, hopefully, a more accurate gauge of the population. That's why more people need to join Twitter, not less people. Now, I am not a Elon Musk shill or simp. It's great that, he builds electric cars. Those batteries suck up a lot of raw materials that still have to be mined, so I'm not really sure how electric cars are necessarily going to be any better for the environment than oil-burning cars. And the rocket stuff is impressive, but it's not like he invented or engineered any of that stuff. He just invested his money in the right company at the right time, which is a skill in and of itself and should not be downplayed. But the people acting like he's some sort of weird renegade, that's ridiculous. The dude functions in a world, that you have to have connections and get along with people at those echelons of power in order for you to have ever even gotten there or maintained there. It doesn't matter if he started off with some money in his pocket. You still have to be able to manage that if you want to, live up or exceed daddy's expectations and all that kind of stuff, and not just be like another, trust fund baby your whole life. I don't think he's like a nuclear scientist. I don't think he's Tony Stark or anything ridiculous like that. Like all people are just people. But neither, is he like, some James Bond villain or the devil, By doing this, even if Twitter fails and falls apart, the guy has basically thrown himself on a grenade for all of this in the hopes that he has enough money to cushion himself from the blow. So we'll see, But Twitter's never going to have the kind of power it ever had again. And, subtly, like I was saying, he has connections. If one were to chase off this hyper-antagonistic, anti-capitalist, far-left faction that has dominated Twitter for so long and has put a chokehold on media and political discourse and shaped corporate policies. Now, if you're like the behind-the-scenes people of those companies and political parties, and you want to get rid of those people without being accused of being, all the bad things that they were threatening to accuse you of and ruining your precious reputation. And this, Twitter is kind of, in a way, I think part of the problem with it is that it's kind of almost viewed as a public record of sorts. And you don't want, your name and reputation and deeds besmirched in the public record. And so you got to get these people out without them thinking you're the one actually doing it. So you find a guy who'll take the blame on himself, and he'll take the heat. And then the rest of you can be all like, oh no, how terrible. But secretly behind the scenes, you helped facilitate the whole thing going through and happening. and aren't going anywhere. As soon as I saw Wendy's tweet at Elon Musk in kind of a friendly way, I was like, okay, yeah, like the people that matter the most, because the people who actually have the money and power aren't going to up and abandon Twitter for whatever liberal version of Gab people try to flock to. It's a great way for them to just kind of remove themselves from the platform and go contain themselves into a corner of the internet where no one's really going to listen. You can just have basically a progressive version of 4chan and whatever ends up winning out in the end of the various, I guess, now competing alternate platforms. And none of them are going to quite scratch that itch that Twitter scratches, and so they should come back. It's dumb for them to leave. They should still have their input. You know, being 1% of the population doesn't mean you're 1 out of 100. It means, like, just speaking for, like, America, you're, you know, a group of people that equals a couple of good-sized cities combined. You just might be spread out and dispersed across the landmass, but that's still a lot of people, and, you know, they shouldn't just be dismissed out of hand. Like the people who somehow think that they've got more than 50%, you know, sometimes think like we shouldn't, you know, have to like worry about that kind of stuff. Like everyone should be included, but that's the point. Everyone should be included. You know, I've been excluding one group as this kind of like some show of I don't know what. I feel a lot of it is just like, to the degree that humans are naturally bigoted, they'll direct that bigotry to whatever the approved target of the moment is, and it really doesn't matter what they really feel. They just want something to hate. So I don't know. I guess that's just kind of a personal hypothesis of mine. Regardless, civilization will return. Part of all this, though, is as we all kind of awaken from this like last 2 years of fugue that we've all been in, I think everyone's just going to have to realize that the old paradigm doesn't work. And what people really, really, really want, what I want, is for all this madness to stop. For us all to drop the masks. And just act like human beings again. And, you know, like, I don't know. Just whatever it is that is the problem. Clearly what we've all been doing has not been working, and so maybe we should all take a moment and breathe, and, you know, think a little bit before we try to move on, and realize that, you know, we've all been through a bunch of hard shit. We've all been acting a little crazy, and you know, it's time for us to like put that behind us and get our fucking shit together, because we still have a world to live in that's full of other people beyond just each of us. We all got to live together and all that kind of good stuff, because we don't want it to be a post-apocalyptic nightmare of cannibal humanoids and wars over the last few drops of gasoline that we can find and all that kind of stuff. That's not a good time. Since the beginning of all this, a line I dropped quite a few times at the beginning of the pandemic when referencing all the Mad Max stuff is, what we want is life beyond the Thunderdome. That's the line from the Tina Turner song that went along with the movie. And symbolically speaking, I think that sums up what I mean. It's what we want. Deep down, we want to get out of this fucking combative Thunderdome we've all been living in, shit, pretty much since like 9/11, if not even earlier than that. It's time for us to be adults about things and tackle the problems as they arise and as needed, instead of continuously high grounding each other on past misdeeds and just the past is dead and gone, and the future is upon us, and so now is the time to act. And that first action should be to take a fucking break, because we all need it. Stay waspinated.